Thank you for listening to Soul Radio. The opinions expressed in this program are those of the host and the guests. This station is not responsible for any claims or representations made and does not endorse or recommend any products or services mentioned.
You, Rick Brandon Tracy, set it off with that spiritual truth. On Soul Radio, let's go, listen up. You wanna sing with the triple threat crew with the spiritual blonde, Rick Brandon and Tracy. They got the master plan to bring you into God's holy land with Christian real. The next stop and making marriage work. Relationship letters, they will make it twerk. Lady B spitting out wisdom and words with Club 50 interviews if you haven't heard. So set it off and let's stay together, talk. Happy Tuesday, 6:30 Central PM. You feel me? Big for real, y'all. LSTT, do your thing, in the ring, yo.
Attention please, attention please, attention please.
Listen.
If you don't like gospel, smooth R&B, and a talk show that's out of this world, then stop listening now. For the rest of you, get ready for 2 hours for pure talk and musical joy.
I like the way it's going down.
Get ready for Let's Stay Together Talk.
All right, listen.
All right, everybody. Welcome to Let's Stay Together Talk Show. Your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo, author Brenda McCain. How you doing, baby?
I'm doing great. I hear it's beautiful outside.
Yeah,
today.
it's a nice day. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, about 80 degrees outside. It won't last long, so enjoy today if you're in the Chicagoland area or in the Illinois area. I believe it's just as warm. I'm sure it's probably warm other places too, but right now in the Illinois, Chicagoland area, we've got upper 80s. It's going to drop down about 10 degrees tomorrow, and then it's going to drop another 10 degrees on Thursday. So, I mean, typically in April, we don't have 80 degrees, so 60s is usually the typical weather. So that's good to have that. I need to get into this thing a little bit more and probably move that camera a little bit. But without that being said, how you doing, babe? You doing good?
I'm doing good. Like I say, I hear it's gorgeous out there, but I'm doing good inside as well.
Yeah, give a shout out to Tracy, who will probably join us on the radio. Maybe not. We're praying for the family as well. Also praying for the what is your sister?
Johnson Coleman family.
Praying
for them, and still praying for the Silla family.
Yeah, praying for the Silla family.
Yeah, keeping everyone lifted up in their times of what they're going through right now.
Yeah. So what we're going to talk about on our subject today, we were supposed to be talking about this last week for Christian Real. I called you doing what God has called you to do, but because of the George Floyd verdict that came in, we kind of switched it over and talked about that. We're going to be talking about it. Let's talk about it, about, say it loud, black and proud, but do you feel safe in your city? We've got another situation where Andrew Brown has been shot and killed in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're going to talk about that, because all the time they're saying that African American men are, they're afraid of us, but right now, with so many African Americans getting killed, I think what they should realize is that we are afraid of them. We are getting killed in an alarming number, and this has to stop. And so we're going to talk about that. And then on a light note, we're going to come back with LP Productions president, governor, mayor, whatever his title is, congressman, Grand Poobah. He's going to be talking a little bit about some things about the restaurant industry. So we're going to talk about that as well. So, baby, if you don't have anything else, I'll give a shout out to all our sponsors. We're going to Soar Radio, 2-time Stellar Award winner for Best Internet Station of the Year. Get ready. 2022 is coming up, and Soar Radio, we have the Soar Radio Awards coming back again. If people will just start taking their vaccination shots so we can get, do that immune herd immunity, so we can start being normal again. They have this thing coming out. Let me just say this: where they're going to start telling the CDC is going to say that if you'd taken your shot, you don't have to wear your mask anymore, which kind of scares me. Kind of scares me a little bit because people are just going to lie and say they had their shots.
Mm-hmm.
You want me to, test it. And so what's going to happen in the summer? The concern is that if they do something like that, people are going to lie, and the number of deaths are going to go up again, and so we're going to have to be at a third shutdown. So hopefully that doesn't happen. So we're going to be talking about that. Give a shout out to other sponsors: Eyeline Management, Victory Gardens, Writers. What is it called? American Blues Theaters. All those who have helped us out, and Eyeline Management has given us some information for the Mandelas. We still got a couple of tickets for that for the Illinois Holocaust Museum. So you may want to check that out. At the Illinois Holocaust Museum, they're doing something for Mandela. He is going for Mandela's Struggle for Freedom. We'll read that, and then we'll have later on, if he's okay. I haven't heard from him, but we know that Stephen got his second shot. So hopefully he hasn't gotten sick. So hopefully we'll hear from Stephen or see him online to know that he's alive for the Best in Theater. So, baby, without further ado, tell me about what we're talking about on Christian Real.
On Christian Real tonight, we are talking about I called you, doing what God called you to do.
So, so many things are happening in the world within the last, 12 to 18 months. And
breaking news.
Breaking news, what?
Mr. Best says, I am alive, my friends.
Okay.
Yay!
So Stephen is here. We've had people having a lot of trials and tribulations during this pandemic situation. But, God has called us to do certain things. And I just believe that people are struggling to sometimes figure out what their calling is, or if what they were called to do, because things are happening so much, should they stay within that calling? But, God has called us to do something. And when God calls you, he makes room for that call. I was listening one time that T.D. Jakes was saying, don't worry when problems intervene with progress, because problems will intervene with progress. But because God is in control, the problems are going to be something that's going to strengthen you to go through the progress, to be successful in what God has called you to do. So don't be discouraged because there are problems in your progress. And I give that to T.D. Jakes because he did say that. But we've got to be concerned about that. That are we, because of the problems that we're having in life, are we allowing it to stop us from being successful in the progress that we're supposed to go through? So I know you've got some couple of things that you've written there down as well. I got a couple of things I'm going to talk about. You have anything to say before you reach your list?
As far as what we're talking about?
No, just anything, Dan.
No.
Yeah. You don't have nothing to talk about in this?
As far as what we're talking about with this topic,
Of course, that's what we're talking about, girl. As
you
far as this topic, we're talking about Christian Real. Let me try to help you out here. We're talking about Christian
that.
Real. I called you doing what God has called you to do. Do you have anything to say before you talk about your topics? Is what I was saying.
Okay.
Stay with me.
No, stay with me.
No, stay with me.
Babe, just pay attention here. I see.
But you should be trying to get me. Stay on focus. Okay. All right, let's go. All right.
Argue over the air.
Right. Well,
so,
go ahead.
Anyway, with the topic we're talking about, how can I know when God is trying to tell me something in this progress here? A lot of people don't know, as you mentioned, they don't pay attention to it. They don't hear God's voice or what he's telling them. It's woe is me going through this right now. It's like, how can I think about knowing I have a purpose right now when all the chaos is around me? And so when God has called you to do something, like you said, he'll make a way through the hills, through the valleys, through everything to make sure you could get to where you need to go to glorify him. And the best way to do that is to pray about it. So in praying about it, if you're not one that's really into the word or know God's voice, the best way to know that is to pray on it and to study the Bible, because the Bible is the blueprint to life, and it will tell you exactly where you need to go and what you need to do if you're willing to listen.
Yeah. So what I pulled this up, and I thought it was very interesting, saying, if you ask a group of people if they've found their life's calling, you're sure to get mixed responses. Finding the life path that feels fulfillment, purpose, and tailor made for your skills and interests is easier said than done. And I think that is so interesting because a lot of times you've asked somebody what they're called to do, they don't want to admit that they don't know exactly what that calling is. And so there's some there's some things that you can do. I can't even say the word strategic right now that can help you out. And one of those things is notice signs and dreams. I did like this, and I'm going to use this information here. Pay attention to the things that happen in your life, that people you meet, and things you notice. These places are drawn. These places you are drawn to, and the dreams that greet you when you're asleep. So it's basically saying there are certain things that your mind will dream about, or you will envision, or have signs about, that can lead you into the calling of your life or what you're supposed to do. It's in another word for a simpler English word. It'll bring you to the passion of what you're called to do in God's name. Not just the passion of what you want to work on, like an Ife Designs. That's something that you want, a passion that you want to work on. But what God has called you to do, God will put a passion into your spirit within signs and dreams that will continuously even trouble you or urge you into that direction of what God wants you to do. It says, don't worry as much about what you saw in the dream, but how it made you feel. And so there are certain times when you may wake up and you're like, oh my God, this, I just really felt so blessed. My spirit felt so great. And that happened to me many a times that I woke up and there was there was a sermon that I was preaching in my dream, or there was a song that I wrote in my dream, and everything was there, and it was just so great, and it just made me feel so good, and that kept on happening, and so it allowed me to see what God was calling me through dreams. Just like when God talked to Joseph, and he talked to many people, he talks to them through dreams to help them to do what they need to do.
I solely believe in that because I know I always say that God speaks to me through my dreams and everything, and tell me what's going to happen, or prepare me what's going to happen. But like I said, you have to really pay attention to it, because if you don't, it's like, yeah, that was a crazy dream. And then when it comes to pass, it could be a month later, a year later. It's like, I had a dream about that or something. But as far as with a passion, to have that fire in you, that when you wake up, the only thing you could think about, I need to get this done, I want to try this. And I always keep asking God to keep me fueled with passion for the things that I do, to help glorify Him and to service people.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like I said, they don't know the gifts that they have, and you have to know, like, what are you good at? What is that leads to your purpose and stuff. And then too, if you're not qualified, God qualifies you to do a lot of things, and you just have to be open to that, and not, I don't know how to do that, I don't do that, and this is not what I think I was called to do. But God can lead you down a path and show you exactly what you need to do.
Yeah, another thing it was saying here, it says, think about what you used to love. And I like that, because it says, what do you love to do, and what do you want to do when you were very young, before you were, you really start growing. We sometimes forget about the passions that God placed in us. And let me just say this. When God calls you to do something, it doesn't have to be inside the church. And typically, a lot of times, it's not. This radio station was a call from God. This radio show. It wasn't something to be called inside the church. God tells us to go out to the highways and the byways and preach the gospel. Everybody wants to be in the church and be noticed in the church on that Sunday so people can see what they're doing on Sundays. But God doesn't have a Sunday calling. He has a daily calling in your life. And so you've got to find out what God is going to call you to do daily, in your life. What things do you love? If you see abandoned children that they're sleeping in the streets, and that troubles you, then that might be a calling for you to start a shelter for children, or shelters for single mothers who have children. And that, people say, well, how is that being blessed by God? Because that's what God has called you to do. You can still bring these people to Christ through your biblical guidance and saying, hey, this is what God called me to do. God wanted me to help you out, and then, at that place, have you a Sunday service there, or have a Wednesday Bible study, or have biblical information available for people. This is what God is calling you to do. It doesn't always, and typically a lot of cases, it's not going to be in the church. You have people in the church. You have preachers and deacons and people like that. And the sad thing about it is that sometimes everybody wants to be seen at the pulpit, but nobody wants to be seen, on the grounds doing the work, out in the fields, out in the city, out in the streets, doing that. They want to be seen in the pulpit, so people can see what they're doing, and see God will see that and say, this is not where I called you at. So whatever God is placing in you to love or to cherish or a passion to do, then you need to do that. Mine was, a counseling. I wanted to help marriage people, in their relationships. So I did counseling for a long time, at Salem Baptist Church. I had a passion was placed on me for to speak to inmates, and so I went to prisons in the state of Illinois and spoke to prisons all around the state of Illinois. And so that was something, that I did as well. Now the passion that God has placed into me, or the calling, I would say, is the radio show. To speak to people through the radio show, and just not in a biblical sense, thou art thou, but just common sense wise, just saying, hey, when God moves you or calls you to do something, don't worry about who sees it. Worry about doing what God has called you to do, so he sees it.
And that's a good way of, like beforehand, especially up at Salem, I used to always wonder, like, why do so many women like coming to me? And I'm not saying that it bothered me. I wasn't prepared. I thought I wasn't prepared to talk to women and to see what they see in me. But God, as I always say, prepared me for that. That someone came to me and said, you're relatable. Because like you used to tease me and say, I'm New Jack, and you was what? What was your thing?
I was New Testament.
Was it New Testament? It was that other one.
I was King James, and you was New Testament.
Yeah, it was something that you always say that mine was like, I'm up in your face. I'm not the thus thou person, but neither are you though.
No.
But I'm not the thus thou person. So when I was sharing things about God and his mercy and grace and everything, people were related to it. And I thought, well, okay, well, let's put this in print. So my calling always been for something. They said, go back to what you used to love. Like you started off in the beginning was writing. Love to write, and turned it around to speaking with people. And everyday simple things just made me want to help people that way, to minister to especially women, because most people know that is my calling, to uplift women, because we, as especially African American women, have a hard time of actually getting anything in this world. So if nobody else gonna be your biggest cheerleader, that's me, to be that for other women, to encourage us, to uplift us and everything. But to know what your purpose and your calling is, you have to tap in to the main line, which is God, and he will lead you to exactly what you need to do.
And it's so true. And this other thing comes up that says turn down distractions. Like you're saying, you need to be in the face of God. If you are struggling with what God has called you, turn down the distractions that are keeping you away from going to God and saying, God, what do you want from me? What can you do? I mean, people will say, how do I pray to God? You just say, God, what do you want? What do you need from me? What do you want from me? I'm willing. I'm a vessel. I'm an empty vessel. Mm-hmm. Fill me with your will. That's all God wants to hear. It's no great, eloquent prayer that's going to move the heavens. God is just looking for a pure, clean heart that he can work with. He wants a vessel that is willing to be used. And a lot of times we get distraction things. And it's saying here, ask yourself what distraction you're currently looking at the most. It may be TV, social media, emails, A lot of other things can distract you. Let me just tell you, there are some things that you're working on that gives you pleasure, but it's not what God has called you to do. And so it's a distraction. I know you don't want to hear that. Some people don't want to hear that. But there's a lot of things that you are doing that has nothing to do with honoring God. And God is trying to call you to do his will, but you're doing something that pleases you, that makes you feel good. And it's not what God has called you to do. It's a distraction. You need to pull yourself away from that and get in the face of God. Now, I'll say this too. I'm not saying don't do it at all, but don't allow it to distract you from being in God's face, trying to find out what his will is for your life, not what you're doing, because we can get excited. I mean, there are some people out there that are writing books, and I mean, it's just wonderful, but it's not what God called them to do. And so they see that this is a blessing to them, but it may not be what God has called you to do, because if it has nothing to do with bringing people to Christ, which is what God wants us all to do as Christians, this is Christian Real, we need to find out if what we're doing is bringing us to Christ. So there are some things that we can do that will please us, but it's not pleasing to God because it's out of line of what he's called you to do in his will for your life. So we have to be very careful about that.
And it goes back to me to think about people who are not saved, who are not Christians, who don't understand, hey, Michelle, who don't understand what actually is their calling.
Yeah.
And they will fight it. And it's like, he didn't show you what your calling was, but you think, no, that ain't me. I don't want to do that. But you got to accept what God told you to do.
Right.
Because if you don't, it's going to like with you and many other ministers who got that calling at a young age, they usually run from it, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, this is your calling. And it might be years later, you're going to come face to face with doing it. And that goes, you don't have to be a minister to just do that, but it goes with everyday lives and stuff. If God called you to do something, you figure that's beneath me. Like you said, starting a shelter or something.
Yeah.
Like one thing I can say, use an example with Dawana Roby. That's the one thing I always loved about her. She would go down to the Lower Wacker Drive, and she said it was a calling one time driving through. There was so many homeless people in tents, and it's like, this is a whole community down here that no one sees or talk about. So she started making them care packages, and then she started doing big lunch packages, dinner packages, holiday. It just grew and grew, and it's like when someone said to her, that's your calling, she said, that was just something I do. You have to have something in you, a passion for that, to do that.
Right.
Because most people would never pack up their truck and go down there and deliver stuff.
Yeah, and humbleness may be, but that was definitely a calling for her to do that, because a lot of people don't do that. And we speak about callings, the radio show wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a minister. I wanted to be a pastor of a church. I thought God was calling me to be a pastor of the church, and then I started getting calls to be pastors at different churches, but it was in Istanbul and Pakistan and all over, to places. What was another place I can't remember the name of it.
I know we wasn't over.
It was just different places all over the world. They wanted me to also, I think it was to China, they wanted us to go because it was having issues. This was about a good 20 years ago, maybe. And they wanted me to go to there to help with the ministry out there. Maybe not 20 years, but maybe 15 years ago. But God was the one that said, I'm not calling you to be a pastor of the church. I'm calling you to be a pastor of the airways. And I'm like, pastor of the airways? And what do you mean? To talk about things. And then when he's, I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to be preaching on the radio. No, that's not what I'm calling you to do. So now I'm not even going to be preaching anymore. God, I'm not going to preach on the air. He says, no, you're not going to be preaching, but you're going to be spreading the good news. You're going to be telling people just simply how to come to me, how to understand my will, and understand their calling. Speaking of callings, Michelle is on there, where she's with Money Moments. She has a calling to help people financially. Which is a wonderful thing that she does as well. You need to contact Michelle Chambers. I'm gonna tell her to put her information on Facebook for us right now.
Yeah, you out there still listening? Type in that information, Michelle.
And she can do that as well. But a lot of times we need to be in God's face. And let me just say this before we close: you have to be patient. There are some times where God is that's why TDJ says there's gonna be concerned about the problems in your progress. There are gonna be some things that God is growing you for. He's building you for. He's
Pruning you.
He's pruning you for, and that God is getting you to that process of doing exactly what He wants you to do in your life. And so if you don't know what it is right now, just stay in God's face and be patient, and just keep on doing the things at the church that you're doing until God gets you ready for that. When Moses was going to go to to let go of the people, help the people of Israel get out of bondage, he didn't know he was going to be doing that. It's like, my goodness, I'm going to be the person that's going to do this. And so we've got to be patient to allow ourselves to be able to develop us, is a good word I want to say, develop us into what we are called to do. When I first started preaching, I didn't have no idea what I was doing. But now, preaching is a part of who I am. It's a calling in me. I can go anywhere now and be ready to preach at a moment's notice. Funerals, anything, because that's a calling that God has placed in me. And though he called me, He's equipped me. And so, but I had to be patient for that. When I was going, into the jail, I'm like, God, what am I going to say to these people? I've never been to jail. He said, well, I'm not trying to get you to teach them how to get in jail. I'm trying to teach you how to get them free from this inter-jail that they live in. And I'm like, oh, okay. That sounds good. But I didn't know that.
Yeah,
and so,
you think of Moses.
Yeah.
He didn't think he was qualified for it. He had a stutter problem.
Right.
And God used his brother Aaron to help him with everything. He always provide what you need before you know you even need it.
Right. And so just be patient with that. So when God is calling you for something, doing what God has called you to do, you just got to be in God's face, be patient, don't have any distractions. I know you had a couple of things there too.
Basically, said
I just summarizing. That's what I was saying. Be patient. Don't be distracted. Be in God's face, and just constantly know that God will never leave you or forsake you. We also talked about noticing the signs and think about what you love. And one of the things we didn't talk about, prioritize. Just prioritize your time with God. Be in God's face. Take some time out of your day to speak to God, so God knows that you are serious about doing His will, and He will develop you into the person He wants you to be, that you can go and bring people to their promised land, not your promised land, but their promised land that God has called you to do. Hey, we're going to go on with that. We're going to be playing some songs, and for those of you all that listen to us on SOAR Radio, I want you to go to Facebook. You can check us out at Let's Stay Together Talk Show, and check us out also on YouTube and Twitch as well. But right now, my boy LP Production is going to play Mary and Jay Bly and I Sing and Donald Lawrence and Hebrews 4:9. LP, do your thing. We'll be right back. What you got for me, argument starter?
One of the first stories that I have is the Colorado cop seen on surveillance video fist bumping while watching a body cam footage of a 73-year-old woman's violent arrest. Now, the thing that got me with this, Rick, one, they're enjoying watching this video of the arrest they made from a 73-year-old lady who has dementia, and that they said they was stealing like $14 worth of stuff. And the way they apprehended her and said, "Get ready for the pop," that just blew me away. How I'm about to break your arm, and her damaged her shoulder, and to tell her that, and it's like, this is the world we live in now. that it's okay to do that to a 73-year-old lady.
Yeah, and I pull up some of these stories, and a lot of times, and I see the title and stuff like that, and I say this is a good story, and I don't get a chance to read them all, huh?
I'll be right.
I don't get a chance to read them all, but I mean, wow! Get ready for the pop. They're gonna let them know that I'm gonna break your arm for a 73-year-old woman, and then you see these two police officers in the surveillance camera looking at it, basically. Fist bumping each other about great job that this person has done that. Now the interesting thing to me is that this is in a police surveillance location, so somebody that was a policeman had to have given out this information, which kudos to them, because I'm trying to figure out how did this videotape get out. That's the thing that surprises me.
Somebody it's an inside job that they released that, because it's like, okay, so I hope you guys are gonna do something about that. But the thing that gets me with the speculation of all of this, okay, I made a complaint about the accused two officers. Now I'm sure someone's seen this, so it's like, Colorado, you didn't join the many states of ignorance with the uniforms and blue to do what you figure you need to do. But the thing was, I don't know if she was African American or Caucasian. I didn't see that. But the point is, she was a senior and disabled.
Right. And I mean, and the bad thing about it is, number one, the officer that broke the 73-year-old lady's arm should face some kind of a penalty.
I did just see something.
What?
They said they didn't receive any complaints, and they didn't know any excessive force was used.
Well,
you're looking at the cam.
Right. You're looking at the cam, so there's got to be some kind of a footage because officers are now supposed to have their body cam on, so they should see some footage with that. But, I mean, I don't know what you could do for the two officers other than reprimand them, or make them lose a day of pay or something. I don't know. But that was, their thing is just insensitive. That what they was doing, like, oh yeah, he broke her arm, boom, that's just, sensitive, and that they may need some, some training on sensitivity. But the officer that actually broke the 73-year-old lady's arm, there should be some kind of a discipline on him. And hopefully we'll hear back later, maybe next Tuesday, we can talk about this as well, telling people this is what happened. What you got for our next story?
Okay, this one just tickled me. It happened on the day of the verdict with the George Floyd thing that happened last week. Teacher who took photo of her foot on black student's neck resigns. She was doing this as a mock-up, and her class happened to be white, and he happens to be black. So let's just put my foot on this 10-year-old. So it's like, why? Why are you doing a mock threat? Now, the thing that gets me with this, Rick, is that the father went off. The mother, she just said,
Thank you.
Take it seriously. I didn't know nothing about it. But it's like, you better stop paying attention, people out here, because that's, to me, it's like all the stuff going on now. You still doing this, and that came, someone, after the picture went viral or big or whatever, she decided, okay, this is going to be too much. I'm going to resign.
So you're bringing me in now, right?
Go ahead, Rick.
Okay, thank you. Lord have mercy. You're telling me that this was a mock thing in the classroom that she was doing? Mm-hmm. To do what? To show what kind of example?
He failed to turn in his homework.
So she did a mock example of the George Floyd thing as a punishment? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, then they fired. I know they fired her.
She quit.
Well, did she resign? I think what they need to do at that point is the family is file a lawsuit against the school and against that woman for what she did, because there's no reason that she should have done that. She was doing the same thing that happened to George Floyd in his example, which this is what's starting to trouble me, is some of the mentality of people who are over our children, that some of the things that they're doing, which is just totally ridiculous. This person, not only she resigned, they need to do something to make sure that she never teaches anywhere in the United States again. You know, so I mean, it's hold that story because I want to talk about when we come back. But they need to make sure that that woman never teaches again.
Well, she probably will. But this next story, why Regina King's Oscar opening has people fuming. Of course, because one, she was a gracious host, and then two, she spoke the truth. Now, Rick, do you know what she said in her opening?
No, I don't.
In her opening speech, she talked about the George Floyd situation and why, no matter how much fame and fortune she has, she's still the mother of a black son. So she's worried and concerned about that. No matter how rich you are, the color of the skin is still black. So a lot of people hit Twitter and was having a fit.
What a lot of people are these? A lot of people African Americans because they can't be, because I'm sure all African Americans understand exactly what she's saying. She's basically saying that I don't have the same benefits of being a star or riches as some of my white counterparts who have some power based on that. I'm still a black person. I still have black children. And as Oprah found out with the millions of billions of dollars she had, she can still be racially profiled. She can receive or notice what racism look like when she goes into stores. And so what Gina King was saying is basically, I'm doing good, but that doesn't stop me from going through an experience the same thing that all black people will experience. And so I totally agree with that. And people are upset about that. Well, I think you need to look at the situation and not the person.
And the thing to get me is so many people use their platform to say something in the political realm over the years. And I know they got backlash too, but it's double backlash when you're African American and you're using your platform to do certain things. So I'm with you, Regina King. Even though they said she used it before, use it every chance you get, because how often she's going to be able to host something in that multitude, even though it's a smaller multitude for the Oscars this year. She still had the opportunity to say what she said, and it was the way she put it. It flowed right on through. It was her intro, and she commented on it, and then she commented on, hey, just like we make in movies, masks are off when the camera stop rolling. They're on when the camera when you're doing movies and stuff like that. They said you have to follow a certain protocol. So she did an excellent job with it, but the backlash was
So what did the comments we have on this say?
One of the comments was comment, not comment. One of the comments were, are you talking about the comment where she said she would have traded her high heels for a pair of marching boots had the verdict come out the other way regarding George Floyd? Yeah,
and it says whoops, comments, not comment. So I mean, I'm sure that all of us would have done that. I mean, I would have traded. I wouldn't say I traded my preacher robe, but I'd take it off for a day to march on the streets if that would have been something, because that was just atrocious what we saw in that situation there. I want you to hold on to those two stories, and I don't think how much time we got left? A minute. So hold on, because I want to talk about those two real quick. Please remember to bring me in, and so we can kind of talk a little bit that, because that's going to segue into what we're talking about. For let's talk about it, because we're going to talk about say it loud, black and proud. But do you feel safe in your city? It's coming to this situation. And I've got two things I'm going to throw out there that I think is going to rub some people the wrong way, but that's just what I'm going to do. I'm not seeing myself in this camera that well for some reason. See that? I want to just move this just a little. Okay.
You in there?
Not the way I'm in there, but you can barely see me, so.
Should I go on, or we down to our list?
We're about to get ready to go. Let me get about a couple of commercials. So we're about to get ready to go in a few seconds here. Let's stay together, talk, everybody. Thank you very much for listening to us on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Go tell your friends that we're out here. We love to have them come and visit us here on Let's Stay Together Talk Show. We're about to get ready to go back on to the live internet air station in about a couple of minutes, couple of seconds, 12 seconds. So 4, 3, 2.
5, 4, 3, 2. We're back.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Let's Stay Together Talk Show. Your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo, author Brenda McCain, and LP Productions that's in the house as well. We just got through talking about Christian Real, Knowing Your Calling. We hope you was a part of that, but we're going to get in a little bit deeper things here. But before we go on, we're going to talk about the two subjects we talked about off the radio. If you're listening to the music, we love that you're part of SOAR Radio. But if you can also go on Facebook, you can see us out there as well, and we're still talking about some subjects. So, I mean, have your phone on and listen to it, or listen to the radio, and then just put on your computer and just check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and you'll see us out there. But we got two things we're going to talk about real quick before we go into our subject, because this actually, prelude into our subject. And so, give me those two things you're going to talk about.
Teacher who took photo of her foot on black student's neck resigned. She used this as a mock threat because a 10-year-old boy did not turn in his homework.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that that kind of troubles me about who's teaching our children. That this white teacher felt that she wanted to do this enactment of the George Floyd by putting her foot on a 10-year-old's neck. Now, here's the thing that's disturbing. That's disturbing within itself. And people say, what can be more disturbing than that? The fact that she felt okay to videotape it or take a picture of her foot on his neck and post it is disturbing. And I'm going to say this constantly until I'm on the air. We're going to go back 100 years from now, and the worst thing that we're going to say would happen to us in 100 years was that Donald Trump became president. Because we have moved back 50 years since he's been in office for 4. And things like this, people just blatantly showing disregard and hatred and racism. And this is just ridiculous. This teacher resigned, but I say she needs to be fired so she can't collect anything. And she has to be stripped from being a teacher anywhere in the United States.
Yeah. The thing that gets me with this also is that the same day Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin was convicted of the murder of George Floyd, she decides to use this as a mock threat. It's like, seriously? And had her foot placed on his neck for 9 minutes.
She put her foot on his neck for 9 minutes?
Mm-hmm. Well, he placed his foot on George's thing for 9 minutes.
Yeah, I know that.
She had hers on there for a long time, they said.
A long time. Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I'm going to tell y'all sometimes the things that be happening, that halo drops a little bit. There's some times that I'm just thankful that there is Christianity, because I be saying, y'all about to make me lose my mind up in here. Let's go to the last thing before we go into our let's talk about it.
I do have a comment on this.
Okay.
That is terrible judgment on the part of the teacher. She set a horrible example in her classroom that day. And a message for you, LP. Before 8 o'clock, find one picture if you can. You read it?
Yeah.
Okay, you got it. So he working on that. The next story is why Regina King's Oscars opening had people filming, Rick. What did she do so wrong by telling the truth?
Well, tell us what she said first, and then I'll make a comment real quick.
Well, she was the host of this year's Oscar, and she came out lightly swinging in a good way and told people that no matter how rich and famous she was, she still is a mother of a black son. And she discussed that with them. She used her platform to make a point, and a lot of people took to Twitter and had a bad backlash on that.
I think what she's basically saying is that it doesn't matter my position. I'm still a black woman. I still have a black child, and I'm not looked at the same way as my white counterparts. This is something that I can still go out in the streets, and I said this, off the air that Oprah Winfrey knew how it felt to feel the racism profile as a black woman, and she's like a billionaire. I think Tyler Perry has felt that as well. As being black in this world and riches, there are people more that will want to disrespect you because they don't believe that you being black, you should have this. And it's amazing how we live in this country, and it just blows my mind, especially as a Christian. It really blows my mind how you can think because of my color, I'm less than you. And she's basically saying, hey, I'm Regina King, and people know me as a movie star, a person that's been in TV and movies, and I'm producing movies, but I'm still a black woman with black kids.
Yeah. Mr. Best did say that she was the first presenter and opened the 93rd Annual Academy Awards. They didn't know what they was getting with Miss King when she came out because there was no official host this year.
Yeah, I mean, and now I've got to find out, and Stevie, you may know this. Did they not know she was going to say that? So that could be the issue in itself. But I mean, I'm glad she did say it. I mean, that was the platform to let people know that enough is enough. We've got to get this world back together where we're not sitting up there looking at people because of the color of their skin, but the content of their character. That is a quote from King.
Respected in Hollywood, and it was a little note out there on all of the feed today that that might make or break her career, and it should not make or break her career because other actors and actresses use the same platform to talk politics.
Yeah, but and I understand what they're saying because Hollywood is still white driven.
She said it was scripted.
Yeah,
so they knew. So
I mean, it's still white driven, and so I mean, even when it's scripted, you still got the old boys club that can stop things, and we've got to get beyond that. Speaking of that, we're going to talk about our let's talk about it because it does kind of segue into that. The topic is going to be say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud, but do you feel safe in your city? And I know people saying this is Let's Stay Together talk show. Whether this had to do in Christianity, it has a lot to do with Christianity because we're trying to find out as Christians and black people what is going on with the situation where black men are getting killed by police all over the United States. What you got for me, baby?
It's disheartening. I say I want to be off the script with this, to speak from my heart, not read up on some stuff. This topic, yes, I'm black and I'm proud. Y'all know this is Betty Shabazz over here. I love it. I love my people, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the disturbed. I love us. But I do not like...
That was you? Okay. What's the number over there? It's asking me for a screen number.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay.
I do not like
Go ahead.
wrongdoing like that. And so all of the senseless murders coming from the blue line, as I call it, the men in blue, it's sad that every time you turn around, it's a new case. This person pop up, killed this person. Like what he's showing, for, even though people on the radio land, you can't see this on our screen here. So many people within the reign of that man who's no longer our president, he unleashed so much hatred that now people are hiding behind the badge. That I have the right to kill you. And it's like, you don't. And I know I'm going to let you get in that, but there's something else behind that someone made a point on, but that's not what we're talking about.
So here's the thing that's troubling, because recently now we just had a situation with Andrew Brown. Andrew Brown Jr. was killed in the Charlotte area, and they stopped him because they claimed that he had some felonies against him for drug use, and the police had stopped him. They shot this man 4 times in the arm and then shot him in the back of his head to kill him.
Was he running away from them?
I think he was trying to elude them, but here's the problem that we have. The police are not supposed to be judge and jury. They're just supposed to arrest. And what's happening now in the United States of America is that the police are taking the law in their own hand. I remember that old movie with Steven Seagal saying above the law. They are finding themselves now being the policeman, the jury, the judge, the executioner. And Charlotte right now is not showing all the videotape about what's going on. They just showed them about 20 seconds of this videotape. But within that 20 seconds, they were able to tell that, this is an execution, to the point now that the FBI opened a civil rights investigation against the shooting Andrew Brown. And so I'm going to let you say something, because I'm going to bring up two things that I think that we need to do in the United States because people don't realize black men, and I'm one of those black men, and if you're a black man and you ain't afraid of police right now, then you need to, I'm not saying be afraid, but be very, very careful. I think Bugs Bunny used to say, be very, very careful. You got to be very, very careful when you come up to a white police officer or they come up to you now, because people are getting killed just by sitting in their car.
And the sad part about it, we know it's out there like that as our race. We know they're after us in any form of way. You could be walking away. I fear for my life. You walking away and you shot him 4 times in the back. Or he presented you with all of his papers for the car registration. You still killed him. What does it take? In this world now, it's really getting taxing, and it's wearing down on our race a lot, that people really need to be aware.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you one of the things about why this, people saying, how's this got to do anything with Christianity? If you don't remember, I mean, some of y'all might be a little bit too young, but Martin Luther King, the king himself, stood up for injustice as a preacher and was called by God to bring in the Civil Rights Act. He died for that. That was his calling. He was called to do that. And we need to remember the call that God has said, that we need to come together with each other. We're not supposed to be separate. We're supposed to come together, but we are constantly finding ourselves on the wrong end of a gun with a police officer. So this is what I got to say. Now, I see the FBI is doing an investigation, the Charlotte thing. I think the Justice Department of the United States of America should do a state by state, have the Justice Department of each state and city by city to check to see every white police officer does not have some kind of affiliation with a white supremacy group or a hate group. That's what I'm thinking. Because this stuff is going on so much from so many different cities, from so many different states, that African Americans are being killed at an alarming rate by white officers. This kind of makes you think about in the old days when some officers used to be a part of the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. We need to start doing checks based on the government. Now, we got the president to do it now, because the other president didn't care. The other president set us back 50 years, but we've got the president in there now that can sit there and say, we're going to start looking state by state, city by city at each police department and finding out if any of these officers have any affiliation with any hate groups, any white supremacy groups, or any groups that are affiliated with hate or against other people of color. And what they also need to do is start making sure that every police officer annually has a mental evaluation test to see if they should be on the streets protecting our citizens.
That all sounds good, but would that ever happen?
Well, we didn't think that civil rights would happen. It needs to happen, because enough is enough with these police officers who right now there's a fight within the government where Republicans do not want to sign the George Floyd law, and they don't want to make policemen accountable for the deaths of people that they killed.
That's because those are those people that you said they need to check them out and see, are they a part
Right.
of these associations as the KKK? Because they trying to keep it alive and well.
Right, and some of y'all saw that that some of your states lost some of your your Senate seats or your representative seats. You need to be careful about that because whoever is in charge of that state, if it's Republican or Democrat, gets to choose what seat gets dropped. So if it's a Republican state like Texas, who is gaining 2, there's 2 more representatives coming. If it was a state that's Republican and they lost a seat, that seat is going to be lost to the Democrat, not the Republican. So this census report is very important. And things that are happening here we're not paying attention to, but we need to pay attention to what's going on. But I'm just a little bit concerned. Maybe some people might say I'm being crazy, but I think that the Justice Department needs to look at. I'm glad the FBI is looking at this, that they're looking at and investigating what's going on in Charlotte. But they need to do that everywhere somebody died. LP's got all these pictures up here of men who have died, men and women who have died in different states and different cities. This is not just one location. This is all over the United States. We need to find out, are these people anyway affiliated with any kind of hate groups? Are they affiliated with any kind of white supremacy? If you say, they can't do that, what you think they did to Stokely Carmichael and all the other black leaders that they killed? They had a rap sheet on Dr. King. They were trying to find some negative things about them. So the government, the government can do this, y'all. It can do it. They killed some of our leaders because of this. So they can do it. You just saw the I forgot the name of the movie that just recently came out with the black leader. It'll come back to me. LP will find it. Huh?
You talking about Judas?
Judas and something. I forgot what it was called. But find that one for me. The movie about Black Panther guy. And the government can do this. They can put a profile and find out what these people are affiliated with. And what I'm saying is that when they do these investigation, it has to be an independent investigation that's not associated with the police department at all, that is going to start investigating police officers who are a part of these situations. You could start with just a location where people get killed and shot at. There's enough of them. Start there. But we've got to find out what's going on, because when the law becomes lawless and could do whatever they want, when the police, when this man could put his knee on a man's neck, look at the camera, and for 9 minutes sit there and act like they can't do nothing to me, the law has become lawless, and we need to say this has to stop.
And he found the Judas and the Black Messiah.
Right, Judas and the Black Messiah. I know, check. LP finds everything. These are the things that we got to look at these things, because something is not right. Something's not right here.
I was just thinking earlier, and I know we're talking directly about the cops killing. It does aggravate me with our race, because we getting it everywhere. From the cop killing, from black on black crime. Just it's like, do we even just stand a chance in this world? Now, the thing that's so detrimental is because the people that are supposed to protect us are the ones that we're fearing so much now. Because it's like, and I know, like I said before, there are some good cops out there. But as late as the past 4 or 5 years, we have not been seeing the good cops out there. We're seeing merciless murders and stuff. It's like, is that really justified?
And there's a lot of good cops out there. I'm going to say there's a lot of good cops out there. But silence is violence. Mm-hmm. If you're not speaking up and saying, this is not what we do in our police force,
I'm afraid to lose my job.
You
Or
know-
you got the crooked cops who's gonna try to take
Right.
you out.
You know, all of a sudden now the color blue is more important than anything. If you are a good cop, stand up. I mean, and most of them say, well, that nobody else is going to stand. Well, you be the first one to stand. Somebody stand. Cops around the world that are good should be they should be disgraced about what's happening. We need you. We need you to protect us. In the United States of America, city to city, state to state, we need you, good cops. Stand up, good cops, so people can see who you are. I want Officer Friendly to stand up to be Officer Honest, Officer Valiant.
But you know what? It was something we was watching. I don't know why, and we just seen it. It makes me think this is so much bigger than the cops too, because you got the cops and then the crooked lawyers and the crooked judges that all know what's going on, and they just say, well, had this evidence, get rid of that. And it's sad because, like you said, with the cam, the recording camera and everything, the dash cam, whatever they call that thing, police cam, it shows everything. Half the time, oh, it's missing, it's gone, we don't know what happened to it, it got destroyed. Okay, you just getting rid of the evidence, and then got destroyed, and once again, now you got to prove hard on something. It's like, that should be hard every day to go out there with that intent.
Right. I mean, it's we're talking about the fact that Black and Proud, say it loud, Black and Proud, but do you feel safe?
No.
And what's happening now, I mean, and literally, people, this thing has been like a powder cake that has exploded in the last 4 years. We saw so many Black people get killed within that 4-year period. And yet, we saw white militias break into the Capitol, and not one person got killed. Not one of the militias. Now there was an officer that died. Not one shot was fired at them. Well, there was a shot inside the place. I digress. There was a shot inside, and one person
like
did die. I now that I'm remembering, but I'm just saying, all of these people did this, and not one died. And what LP was showing you was pictures of people, Black people who had died by the hands of cops. We've got to stop this. This 4 years has really set us back about 50 years in our understanding of what it is. Black people are afraid to go out because if they get stopped by police, they don't know if this is the last day that they'll see. There's a Christian song that says, "This may be my last time, maybe my last time, I don't know. This could be my last time. I could be driving down the street and cops could just say, your tail light was off, and then I'm dead." Because he said he feared for his life. You got the gun, man. How do you fear for your life with me? You got the gun. I'm not bringing a knife to a gunfight, so I'm sure not going to bring a fist to a gunfight. You got the gun. We are afraid of you because right now what's happening from city to city and state to state, these police officers are killing people. It happened in Wisconsin where the man was shot 7 times and the police officer now is back on duty. We're afraid of you because we know that right now, the city to city, state to state, you can do something that can kill us or harm us, and nothing is seeming to happen to you because your city officials, your state officials are saying that you did what was right. You don't have the right to kill me because you think I have a bad check. You don't have the right. I don't care if this Andrew Brown did have some warrants out for drugs. He should have his day in court, not his day in the cemetery. Just because they were trying to stop him. If you're not able to stop him by yourself, then you need to let him go. Don't kill him because he resist. This is ridiculous. We've got to do something to hold policemen accountable.
Yeah, because what gets me is that everything is by the gun. The taser, you could say taser, but not use the taser. And like someone told me before, we are not shooting to lame. We are shooting to kill. And it's sad that that is the truth. Because it used to be a time you shoot them in the shoulder or in the ankle to bring them down when the cops were only job was to bring the suspect in and let the judge and jury try the case.
Well, they said something about that is that one of the reasons why cops don't do that anymore is because they try to shoot for the biggest target, which is the center mass of the body. If they shot at a leg or an arm or something like that and miss, it possibly could wound someone else. I mean, I'm like, okay, then just don't shoot.
Right.
You know, how about getting back into shape and chase people like you see on TV all the time? You know, do you have to shoot somebody all the time? Now, again, we're not talking about the good cops. And I'm going to say this again. There's a lot of law-abiding, honest police officers out in the United States that keep us safe. And I say thank you. Thank you for honoring your duty, honoring the shield, making the shield a protection, something that we can honor, respect, and love and appreciate that you're out there. I think I remember one time a police officer came to our house a long time ago. We first moved here, and he came and he says, you know, sir, you're on the roof. He said, you live here? And I said, yeah. He says, is anybody here to validate you live here? And you came out there and you validated that I lived here. And he says, you know, I'm sorry. I said, no, don't be sorry. If you ever see somebody on my roof, you question them. I didn't have a problem with that.
I still have a problem.
I don't. And you might. I don't, because he did the right thing. He don't know me. He don't know that I lived there. Now, if he knew that I lived there, he did that.
I'm sorry. You
But
probably wouldn't know
and I can't go there. I don't know. It might have been, but I'm just saying for this situation, when he did that and he apologized to me, he said, I'm sorry, sir. I just saw somebody on the roof and I didn't know what was going on. I didn't have a problem with that. Stop everybody that's on my roof. Because if they're on the roof and you don't know who they are, then I want you to find out who they are. Okay. Now, once I told you I was on the roof and it's my house, then you still had a problem, then that's something else. But I don't have a problem with that. But I have a problem with police officers who are honest and they're not standing up against dishonesty. That doesn't make any sense that I am above the law when I become a police officer. You are supposed to be the person that administers the law, to keep the law, not above the law. You are the people that we're supposed to trust, that when a police officer comes, we should say, oh man, great, a police officer here. Not, oh my God, I might die, a police officer is coming.
Don't move in a car. Make sure both of your hands
I
on
mean,
the steering
like you
wheel.
said,
It's like, seriously? We have to go through all of that. And another race does not have to go through anything.
I mean, how does a kid, a man, get killed for following what they told him to do? He was reaching to go into the glove compartment to get his information, and they shot him. I thought he was trying to he was following orders and got shot and killed. Again, I'm going to say this. We need to look at state by state, city by city, do an investigation on every, and I'm sorry to say this, hey, you know, may lose some sponsors, I don't care. God, this is God's radio show. I'm standing up for justice. Every white officer needs to be evaluated, especially the ones who have had issues with people of color, to find out if they're a part of any white supremacy or hate group. And all officers across the United States of America needs to have a yearly mental evaluation to find out if they are fit to be a police officer in the United States. And if they're not fit in Charlotte, North Carolina, they're not fit to come to Chicago and get a job either. They're not fit to be a police officer in the United States of America, not just one state. We've got to get to a point where we hold policemen accountable for what they do. I'm a minister. I'm supposed to be held accountable. I'm not supposed to be out there fooling around on my wife with some other woman and still preaching the gospel. If I do something like that and say, why he preaching? You know, he out there screwing everything he can. So why is a police officer shooting everybody he can and he's still a police officer? We didn't find anything out there. Go ahead, Earl, and shoot somebody else. You know, that's basically what they're saying. You know, go out there. You know, what you did was okay. Don't worry about it. We'll protect you.
And that's the thing. They're under protection.
I'm
Every
like,
last one of them.
you can't have a group like that because what happens, ooh, Lord, people gonna get bad at me. What happens is you don't have a police department. You have a KKK department. You have a department of people who believe that they can do anything they want to and get away with it. And so if they have a bad day and you say something they don't like, they could shoot you and say, I feared for my life and get away with it. We can't have that anymore. We cannot have that anymore. I am a black man and I don't fear anything unless I get stopped by police. I haven't gotten stopped by police in a long time. But should I, as a black man, be afraid that my life might be in jeopardy when the person is supposed to serve and protect me stops me? I'm more concerned about the police officer than the criminal breaking in my house. This has got to stop, people. And why is this something that's religious? Because God told us to love everyone, to be good to everyone, to love your neighbor, to care for your neighbor, to protect your neighbor, to be there for your neighbor. Your neighbor is hungry, feed him. If he needs clothes, clothe him. If he needs protection, protect him. We want to honor our police officers again. We want to honor our police officers again. We want to honor our police officers again. But we cannot honor you if you are good and silent, or you know that this person shouldn't be there and you allow it to stay on the force. Any police officer, any captain, any department that's allowing that, you can't be honored. And you're not thinking about it being honored. The only thing you're thinking about is yourself. I'm done, yeah. I'm angry about this because how did we get here?
You know how we get.
I mean, you know, you've had blacks being killed by police for a long time. But my God, this within this 4 years, it's been like, you know, it's almost like a monthly thing. We only have Black History Month in February. We have Black Death Week. Black Deaths Weekly. And I'm tired of people saying, well, you know, black people kill each other. Y'all kill each other more than anybody else. Well, white people kill people. White people kill more white people than every race kills themselves more than anyone outside of the race. And if they keep on coming up with this percentage stuff to make it seem like blacks kill each other more in a percentage, where there are probably 6 times more whites in America than blacks. Whites in the United States is 60% or more. Blacks are right now about maybe 16 or 17%. That's not 6 times, I know. But they have more of them. There are more white on white crimes in America each year than there is black on black crime. But because you take percentages, it looks better. Let's stop doing this, people. And I'm sick and tired of the news. Every time I watch the news, they want to show a black person getting shot, or a black person being fired, or fighting, or a black person stealing in a store. And then when they show the other things, here's a white person helping somebody. I mean, so let's be honest with this thing. If you're going to show a black story that's doing something wrong, show a white story that's doing something wrong. The news is just as guilty as anyone else because they're perpetuating a look that black people need to be feared. And we are scared of you because you've got the power to kill us and get away with it. We don't have that power. So where there is power, there's responsibility. Government, television stations, networks, especially Fox News with those idiots they be having on there talking most of the times is ridiculous. We have to stop this and start honoring what it means to live in the greatest country in the world. That's what we keep on saying. It's not great if it's only for one race. That is called racism. Let's get it together, y'all, because we're not the greatest country in the world because a few of us think that. We're great because everybody feels that, not just a few of us. We got to go on. LP, I got a song that's coming, and the song I got coming is from Marvin Gaye. What's going on? You're going to listen up to this song, then we're going to come back. This is Rick McCain along with my baby, my girl, my boo, Alta Brenda McCain, and LP Productions in the house as well. LP, do your thing. For those of you all later, check us out on Facebook. We'll be right back. I've been on my horse. What we got, baby?
Woman fired after being caught on camera telling neighbors she's not the right color.
I almost brought that one up too. That's crazy. Go ahead.
Very crazy. A Virginia woman was reportedly fired from her job at a food bank for racially abusing a black neighbor. See, like I say, you never know who's watching you. You never know who has their video rolling to tape you to say something crazy. So, of course, they said the neighbor and her have been feuding anyway for a while, but this particular time, the cousin caught the neighbor calling her the N-word. So it's like, who are you to say I'm not the right color for anything, whether it's a job, life, period? But, you know, the saying, Rick, is you're not the right complexion for the connection. Still holds true a lot around here.
And, you know, this is what bothers me, too. She can do this, and, you know, people say, well, you know, she was just expressing her opinion. A black woman say something, and they're the angry black woman.
Right.
If that black woman would have been smacked upside the face, and they would have said, you know, she abused her. She has a First Amendment right to say what she want to say. Why is she in my house anyway, saying that? That you're not the right complexion to be living here? I said, well,
Well, she didn't say that, but she said you are in, so.
Well, that's basically what she's saying. You don't need to be here. Not in this neighborhood. This is 2021, and we still got 1950 kind of mentality. Again, I'm keep saying this. This is the 4 years of Trump that took us back 50 years or 60 years, probably 70 years now. You know, she lucky she didn't have a real sister. Like in Us, if y'all seen a couple of pictures of that. That sister that probably smacked in the face. This is crazy. She comes up to her and tell her, you, and I'm not gonna say what the words she said. You don't need to be in this neighborhood. Really? What's going on?
And like she said, you're supposed to feel comfortable in your own home, but when your neighbor is taunting you, how can you feel comfortable? It's like, this is just really sad. I always say, what makes you think that you're better because you don't have melanin in your skin? You just feel as though I could say and do whatever I want to do.
You know, it amazes me with some of the things. I mean, I'm showing my anger, but it amazes me as a Christian that I live in a country that calls themselves the greatest, but yet we're still dealing with people hating each other because of the color of their skin. Now, there should be no hate for any reason. But really, I mean, what? This is crazy. This is some stupid stuff that's going on.
Crazy story. Another story that's interesting is New Jersey as the letter X gender marker on driver's licenses and other states' identification. New Jersey has joined 19 other states and Washington, D.C. in allowing X gender identifier, Rick.
Yeah.
So, either you're male, female, or you X, because you don't relate to neither one of them.
Biblically, I had a big issue with this because, if I'm not mistaken, you know, as a preacher, I think I know this for sure. But I think God said male and female, he made them. Male and female, He made them. And that the male and the female was supposed to procreate, and the reason for procreation was for godly seed. But now you could be whatever you want to be. I got an X. You got an X. He got an X. It's getting to the point where states are going to be making these laws where people can put down whatever gender they want, not biblically what they were born as, a male or female. So that disturbs me on the way we're going. We're getting to that point where Sodom and Gomorrah is going to come right back into our lives. And I pray that I'm not here when those days happen. But this is getting ridiculous. What we are seeing, where people are saying, "I'm going to be what I want to be, not what I am."
They say the department noted that the X marker can also be used by residents who don't want their gender specified on their license or other identification. Now,
and I noticed that I know
with
that LP ain't got that up there. You ain't been putting that up there. Oh, okay.
I couldn't find anything that was like
what gets me with that comment is wherever you go and someone can look at your license and clearly see that you are a male or you're a female. Whether you identify with it or not, that's what you are. So.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Let's Stay Together Talk. Your host, Reverend Rick McCain, along with my baby, my girl, my boo. I got to read this out here real quick. We've got about, 9 minutes before we go to Stephen Best. And then we got to hit, I'm going to read this later. We're going to go into our Let's Talk About it. I want to talk about this a little bit and give LP Productions. So talk about what we're going to talk about on Let's Talk About it. Talk about what you're going to talk about on Let's Talk About It.
Can I have my food first? Having an attitude towards your restaurant staff.
So now we got an expert here who has been, part of the restaurant world, and me and him had conversations about this before, about how things are going on. You saw the young lady in McDonald's who shot into the thing because she didn't get her service the way she wanted to. A lot of people have gotten very irate with people who work in the fast food service industry, and even in other places where they're servicing people. And so, we got LP here, and then we're going to ask him a couple of questions and talk about some of the things that are going on. So, LP, why do people always seem like they're getting, little attitudes with people who are working at these fast food locations? What do you think that is, and how do you all handle that? How did you handle that when you were a part of a fast food industry?
Well, I don't know why someone would have an attitude when they come to a fast food place. Personally, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get an attitude with people. But I don't know. You handle like you handle someone having an attitude with you in any customer service job. You just kind of ignore it and just try and get them out of the store as quickly as possible. That's all you can do.
I'm just shocked here. Oh.
Okay, well, get past that.
It's not just fast food restaurants, it's other restaurants as well. But like you said, wherever you service and stuff. But I don't know, was it you or Rick that mentioned before, it's a time restraint that you have to get at the fast food restaurant to get orders out or orders taken?
I'll pull it up, but when we work at a fast food restaurant, we have to hit like time goals. And for like actual lobby orders, it's not that big of a deal because the timer starts as soon as I put the order in. But for drive-through, there's a little pressure plate that you drive over when you come into the drive-through. That like the moment you drive over that pressure plate, like I'm on the clock, right? So if you pull into the drive-through, you have no idea what you want. You're just burning my time. It's really like annoying if you're working in the fast food. Like if you're working in the drive-through to have someone in your drive-through just burning your time because you're burning your time there, and then someone pulls in behind you, it burns their time too, and then so on and so forth. And my times are all messed up. And now
you
it's
have
a
a
problem.
quick question here. Is your mic on? You're having a hard
my mic
time
on?
hearing you.
Should be. Hold on.
It should be.
He's checking.
It should be on. Is it? It's not that one.
It should be on.
Yeah, it just should be on. Is one mic off?
It shouldn't be. Don't touch any of the knobs. It should be on. So someone said they're having a hard time hearing it. His mic is on. It's very tough to hear. That's
Say
interesting.
something again.
Hold on.
Pull it up to your mouth a little bit.
I got it. I was talking right into it. It should be. Hold on one second. Let me just.
So while he's doing that, check to see how his mic is doing. I know one of the things we were talking about is that, you know, uh, they have a time set where they need to get that person
Is it
out
this
there
one?
once they hit that plate, and
I think it's this one. Yeah, it's this one.
when they hit that plate, they got to make sure that you know, they have a timer. They have to get that person out, and so they can be penalized for if they're not they don't get that person out at a certain period of time. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's a huge problem if you're working, like, if you're the one responsible, it can be a problem for you in the long term. You get a lot of flack for it. It's really bad for your manager as well. They run into issues.
But even with that, with the fast food, it comes a time like if you get the bad service inside the restaurant.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what happens when the person have their attitude on? It's like, can I just get my food? It's like, where's the waiter or the waitress at? It's been 20 minutes. They haven't came back to check on us. So I'm just thinking, this is an overall, not just fast food, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I've worked in like regular restaurants as well, and like usually if someone's not with you, there's probably an issue. They're probably trying to like fix a problem in the back or whatever, or they're they're trying to do. Generally, like I assume like the best out of most people that I would work with, right? But I don't know, most waiters, and especially not like a waiter in a restaurant because they work for tips. Most of those guys aren't lazy. Like like you don't get. When I worked at like Burger King, for example, I was making like $11 an hour. When I worked at like a proper restaurant, I was making like $1.75 an hour, right? Like my entire paycheck is tips. It's the tips that I make at the end of the night. Like monthly, I'm getting like $30. Like I'm getting $20. I'm getting $10 some months. Like, so you're working entirely for tips. So you're probably not like lazy. It's probably like an issue. It's probably a reason why I can't get to you at the moment.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that I said, can I get my food first? Because I want you to kind of talk about a little bit about what happens when a person gets angry with a fast food person or waiter. Do they have to be concerned about their food when they do something like that?
You should not have attitudes with fast food work or anyone that's handling your food ever. Like I have I'm not a terrible person, so I don't do this, right? But like, I have unfiltered access to your food. I can do whatever I want to your food. I can spit in your soup if I want to. I can like give you an uncooked burger and do whatever I want. Like, and people are like, they get like these like huge attitudes with fast food workers, and it's just not smart. You just shouldn't do that. They have like unfiltered access to your food, and like we remember you for sure. Like if you come back, I know your face, I know your car, I know the sound of your voice. Like I'm there every day for 9 hours. Like,
but that's so wrong for the employee to do that. Though.
Oh yes, it's terrible.
Regardless, because the customer is always right, no matter.
That's not
what.
true.
Sometimes you guys are wrong.
That's not true.
I know that's the same.
Yeah.
But for you to stoop that low to, like you said, and I know people would do that. It's like spit in their food or drop something off the floor and then pick it up. But shame on those who out there that don't do stuff like that. That's not right. But for the people who are giving them torment and the HELL while they sitting in line waiting or while they at the table waiting, shame on you too. Because like you said, you was only making probably $1 a day, and depending on your tips and stuff. But it's like it works both ways. But for this conversation tonight, as far as with people working in fast food restaurants and at the restaurants and stuff with that attitude, that's something that I don't tolerate.
Well, let me just say this. We're not talking about if it's right or not. We're just talking about what happens.
Oh, yeah, you have like the possibility.
Right,
to
the
do
possibility.
It. I never saw
We're not-
anyone do
yeah.
it.
You
But,
know,
like, I worked like I have the ability to, like, people are really mean to me, and also like the fast, especially with like fast food. Like I've got the timer up on the screen so you can see it. Especially with like fast food, like we're on the same team when you pull into the I don't have the person in the drive-through, like unless you're talking to like a manager or something. The person at the cash register, like, they don't have any allegiance to Burger King or Speedway or, Steak and Shake. They don't care, right? Like, I don't really care about the bottom line of Burger King. Like, we're on the same team. So whatever gets you out of the drive-thru happiest and quickest, like, that's what I'm going to do. It's like you just have to be, like, nice and decent. And people are, like, as fast food workers are really, really, really accommodating. Especially with things like fries and drinks. Like, if you want something for free, like, we throw away thousands of pounds of fries a day. So if it's like I got my order wrong. Can I get extra fry? Yeah, sure, man. Here you go. Can I get a free drink? Yeah, sure. Here you go. We're making like 300% markup on
I
syrup.
barely see that.
Yeah,
Just
because you
ask.
don't ask.
Ask.
Right.
That's what you asked for. Stephen Best
Yeah.
calling in. One second.
Steven, is he calling me? He calling the wrong place. Steven will call in the other place.
You got the Ring Central thing. I just
Oh, okay.
picked it up.
So Steven picked up the phone. So we're going to talk a little bit about this when we come back, because I want to talk about that, because I think that a lot of times, we look at the fact that people, say that fast food people shouldn't do things like that. But I mean, like he said, if someone is taking care of your food, you shouldn't be angry with them. I don't ever say anything smart mouth to a fast food person until my food comes. I ain't saying nothing.
I don't think I ever said anything angry with them, but I am one of those people to check my food before I leave that driveway, that window.
So that's great. So we've got to go to Stephen right now. We're going to come back to that subject. Let's go on to connect with Stephen Best. Stephen, are you there?
I am, and I will be honest, I waited tables back in college, so your entire conversation, I'm having flashbacks to just how rude and outrageous and demanding customers could be. Completely not respectful of anyone else's time, completely not respectful of any other table in your section. They want it now. I'm having nightmares remembering those days.
So Stephen, do you? I'm not saying you ever done that, but you ever know someone who has done something unusual to someone's food when they've gotten an attitude?
Oh no, and I will be honest. I worked at two chain restaurants who I'm not going to name, but had rather strident policies about cleanliness in the background. No. I mean, of course, we always jokingly threatened that in the back, but most of the time, if someone was being difficult, I just wanted to turn that table as quickly as I could. So it behooved me to get their food to them as quickly as possible, and then to follow up with their check as quickly as possible, just to get them in and get them out.
Yeah, and we apologize if you're hearing Stephen and you hear a little bit ringing in the background. We'll be working on that. But my introduction for Stephen, I didn't get a chance to do. Stephen takes care of our theater world while we're black in theater, and so Stephen goes around scouring the globe looking for information for us in regards to theater. So Stephen, let us know what's going on in the theater world and the other things that you want to bring to us today. That's great. What you just do. Go ahead.
Oh, sure, you got it. There's actually, as of this week, there are 3 new productions coming to Chicago. The first is going to be electronic. It's from American Blues Theater. Their new series is called The Room, and there's going to be a reading. It's called On the Green Belt this Friday, April 30th at 7 p.m. It's a reading by Carissa Morel-Myers. It is a Zoom. It's a Zoom production, and they're going to be doing these monthly Zoom productions during the time of COVID-19. It's a pay what you can. They suggest $10, but again, it's pay what you can, and that is AmericanBluesTheater.com, and you just need to sign up for that. And again, it's this Friday, April 30th. Now, also streaming from Collaborations, they have a new production called Becoming Unlearning White Supremacy. It's going to be live on Tuesday, May 4th at 6 p.m. It's free, but registration is required, and again, that's at collaboration.org. We're going to be doing one monthly event for the next 6 months. Again, this one is called Unlearning White Supremacy, and to sign up for your registration, it's collaboration.org. And then the third, and I think this sounds like a lot of fun for the whole family, the Chicago Children's Theater just announced on May 15th, they're going to start a series called Little Jams, Parking Lot Performance. It's going to be in-person outdoor music fest. It's going to be on Saturday and Sunday mornings at 9:30 and 11:30 a.m., again, starting May 15th. And they said you can shake out your sillies. There'll be live musicians and live performers, all Chicago-based talent. And each show is going to be a little over an hour. With a festival atmosphere, they said it will be very family-friendly. There's going to be a bubble spectacle, which is powered by more than half a dozen industrial-strength bubble machines. There'll be modern music and Chicago talent like Ariana Burke, Nick Davio, Lily Emerson, and more. Now, it is $55 per carload. And again, to register, it's chicagochildrenstheater.org. Again, chicagochildrenstheater.org. But if you're looking for something to do with the kids outside of the house, this will be at the Chicago Children's Theater in the parking lot outside. So you bring your mask. There will be food, fun, and entertainment for the entire family at $55 a carload. Now,
Hey, Stephen, are you speaking on a speakerphone?
I am. Can you not hear me?
Yeah. Can you just go directly to the phone and not speak to the speaker?
Sure. Give me just a sec.
Okay. We got some disturbance in the background. I'm going to have to switch that up so we don't have that. I'm just going to have to use my phone again because that humming that you hear is the actual computer, operating. Stephen, are you there? He hung up. Okay, so he's calling me here. Hold on.
No, he's back.
Okay, you got him?
Hello, my friends. I'm back. Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's much better. Go ahead.
Okay, good. Well, I still have yet to have confirmed dates when Broadway is coming back here in the United States. But in London, they have announced a 7-month rollout to bring back the West End. And just announced today, Wicked, everybody, I mean, I know it's one of my favorite musicals of all time, is going to be back on September 15th. It's the 9th longest running musical in West End history. So anybody headed to London, Wicked's coming your way. But starting in May, they're bringing the musical Six back in May. In June, they're going to bring back the Tina Turner musical. In July, they're bringing back Phantom of the Opera and Come From Away. Then in August, they're bringing back Hamilton, a little show called Hamilton at the beginning of the month, and towards the end of the month, they're going to open Frozen. Again, Wicked will be back September 15th, and then the Book of Mormon will be back in November, just in time for the holidays. So London's West End is slowly coming back. Hopefully in the next few weeks, we will start to have some dates of when the American Theater Wing will open up on Broadway. And then once Broadway opens, of course, the national tours will pick back up as well. Truthfully, I think the national tours are going to be one of the last pieces of live performing to open, and I can't imagine national tours will start before Broadway actually kicks in. But we'll keep everybody posted on that. Okay, so that's it for the theater. Now let's talk about the biggest news in entertainment this week, and that was the 93rd Annual Academy Awards. Unfortunately, this was the lowest rated Oscars in the history of the Oscars being televised, with viewership below 10 million. It's an all-time low. But now we're going to talk about the good things. Netflix snagged 7 awards total. Now, these two things actually run congruently. And the reason why I say that is, I mean, let's face it, movie theaters were closed for most of the year. So almost everything that you were able to see was on streaming services. And this year was just the year of the smaller movie. I mean, Sound of Metal, Minari, Mank, The Father, Nomadland, The Trial of the Chicago 7. I mean, these are not films that every single person saw. So I think that goes into hand as to why the viewership was so low. But there were a lot of glass ceilings that were broken, mainly by women of color, including Nomadland's best director Chloe Zola, who has now been the second woman ever in the history of the 93 years of the Academy to win Best Director, and she's the first woman of color to win that award. And then for the, let me make sure I get their names correct. For the movie Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, this is the first time ever women of color have won in the hair and makeup categories. It was makeup artist Sergio Lopez Rivera and hair department head Mia Neal and Jamaica Wilson. Those two women are the first women of color ever to win in that category. And Jamaica Wilson is actually the personal hairstylist of Viola Davis. So kudos to all of them. But I mean, let's be honest. Really, all anybody wants to talk about, and certainly all I want to talk about, is the fashion. It was so delightful to have a red carpet back. Now, I was concerned, truthfully, about the visual. The producer said they did not want to see the audience wearing masks, so they did their best to not have people on camera wearing masks. I'm going to be honest. I thought that was a mistake. I loved the visual of Beyonce. Oh, sorry, Rick. I was trying to get through something without saying Beyonce, but in this example, when she was at the Grammy Awards, and she wasn't there for the whole event, but to see her in the audience with a mask on, I think that was a powerful visual. I think that the producers of the 93rd Annual Academy Awards made a big mistake ensuring that no one in the 3.5-hour telecast was photographed with a mask on. I think that was an error. But with that said, everybody on the red carpet had a mask that was custom designed to match their gown or tuxedo. And LP Productions, I sent you a shout out. So let's go through my favorites, which of course Regina King in her custom Louis Vuitton blue Duchess satin crystal encrusted gown with those dramatic shoulders. Regina King has unfortunately, she was not nominated for Best Director. She is an Oscar Award winner for her film work, but this year she directed a film which unfortunately the Academy ignored, but Regina showed up in style in her custom Louis Vuitton. So kudos to Regina King. Zendaya had all jaws dropping in her bright yellow cutout Valentino gown with over $6 million in Bulgari jewels. I mean, Zendaya is having quite a year. A few months ago, she won the Emmy. Now she's sporting $6 million worth of jewelry on the red carpet. Kudos to her. And Angela Bassett and that Alberto Ferretti. I'm telling you, Brenda, you need to call up Angela Bassett and start sharing clothes.
I know.
That dramatic red
it.
gown was just absolutely breathtaking. And while we're talking about breathtaking, Viola Davis, I have to be honest, was a little bit sexy this year in her custom Alexander McQueen white thistle applique gown with a very low V cut. Again, designed by Sarah Burton from Alexander McQueen. And, I mean, the Golden Girl herself, who was nominated for an Oscar but didn't win, Carey Mulligan, in her gold haute couture Valentino gown, she actually was sporting the trend of the night for women, which was actually the cutout abdominal area on their gowns. There were 4 women who decided this year to follow the trend of baring their bellies on the red carpet, including Zendaya, Carey Mulligan, and British actress Vanessa Kirby. I thought glamour's back, bold. Even though we've all sort of been locked away for a year because of the pandemic, I was so thankful for a really glamorous, well-dressed red carpet this year. And that is Stephen's take on the Oscars.
All right. Hey, Stephen, thank you very much. Glad you're doing good. I know you took your second shot, so no side effects?
Just a sore arm. But other than that, no side effects.
Yeah, and we're going to have this that sound taken care of next week. I'm just going to have the thing connected through my phone. You'll still call that same telephone number, but instead of it going through the computer, the mixer will go to my phone, or maybe LP will let me use his phone, and we could do it that way. But we'll see you next week to talk about the best in theater, okay?
You got it, my friend. Have a great week.
Thank you. You too.
Bye now.
All right. And so the noise goes away. It only happens when we're on the phone with Stephen, but we'll make sure that is taken care of next week. And
Vanessa will be here in Vanessa will be here in like 8 minutes.
And who?
Vanessa will be here in like 8 minutes.
Okay.
She wanted me to let you know.
All right. For those who don't know who Vanessa is, that's my sister, and I thank you for having my cookies. And we're gonna go on to the time of Brenda, and you're gonna talk about Club 50 right now, right? Or what are you gonna talk about?
Let's quick thing with Club 50.
Okay.
Hello, Golden Diva.
Hello.
Last week, I had to switch some things around. Last week, I was supposed to have talked about the watercolor inspirations, but because of the George Floyd verdict, I switched it up and talked about that. If you did not get a chance to read the two tales of the story that was going out about him and Minneapolis police force, check it out at theclub50.com. This week, I'm going to get back on track and go back to watercolor inspirations.
All right. Say a little bit about Ife Designs.
Oh my gosh, come on, people. I love you. I just want to shout out and say I appreciate you. Business is tremendously picking up for me, and I'm so grateful to all of you guys for your support. So if you're looking for anything to be done, like now I'm doing potato chip bags and Capri juice things, which is interesting because I came across the most beautiful children to do this. Like I said, the pandemic is not stopping anything. It seems like everybody having a party, but if you like for someone to design your party to the great specifics, check me out. And I know I should be giving you the email address, but just check me out on Facebook and go to Club 50 where you could see all of my work in the Ife Design store.
Yeah, the email address is just ifedesigns@gmail.com. That is ifedesigns@gmail.com. And hopefully we're going to have you looking at that email so you can find it as well. So again, Brenda does an excellent job with banners, any kind of designs that you need for a party, whatever you need a design for. She's doing an excellent job with that. And so you can contact her at ifedesigns@gmail.com. You can also go onto our Club 50 website and contact her there. You know, she's done excellent work. I'm not just saying it because I'm married to her. It is very good. She's very talented in that. And if you need some kind of design that you can put up, she even did that design there as well. Just contact her, and she would be more than happy to help you. Let's go into our relationship letter.
Dear LSTT, summer is coming in a couple of months, and I'm truly wondering if we are going to come out of this pandemic. So much is going on in this world, and people are getting laxy-daisy to what they still need to do in order for us to come out of this mess. I've taken my shots, but so many people I know personally have not done it yet. What are your thoughts on the topic of individuals not taking their shots, and how can we encourage them to do so? Sincerely, I took my shot.
Wow. You know, this is an ongoing situation where people are, you know, hesitant about taking this vaccination shot. I mean, a lot of times African Americans and people of color was talking about what happened back in the 40s with the vaccination. And my mind escapes me right now. I should know what I'm talking about. I can't think of the shot that the people was talking about. It was syphilis, the thing of syphilis at that time. And now the situation with the Johnson & Johnson, you know, people are hesitant, you know, are they just giving this to the people of color? But, you know, let's realize that Johnson & Johnson is the vaccination is being out to over 8 million people, and they've only had 16 issues. 8 million. You have a better chance of winning the lottery than getting the issues that you have from the Johnson & Johnson product. People are still being led astray. I just heard Tucker Carlson on Fox News telling people that they should not wear their mask and politely ask people to take off their mask because it's insulting them for wearing their mask. And if they don't, then call the police on people.
Who said this?
Tucker Carlson on Fox News, who's an idiot, by the way. So there's a lot of, you know, misinformation is going out there. And so I don't know what to say about this other than, you know, trust your scientists, you know, make sure you go into a reliable place to get your vaccination. We were fortunate enough to for our church, and we went to the Walgreens pharmacy, which, you know, is a trusted pharmacy. Try to find a trusted pharmacy or a trusted location that you can go through this. And, you know, but take your shots because you definitely need your shots.
Smitty agrees with you. Don't listen to that news. Only listen to CNN or MSNBC.
Yeah, Fox News. They are embarrassing. They're embarrassing their network with the things that they're letting come out of there. What you got to say?
praying that we do come out of this. Someone had mentioned to me just recently that new work with doctors said that they really believe that we're not going to come out of into the end of the year going into 2022 because due to the summer and outdoor activities, people believe, well, we outside. We don't need to wear the mask. They still pushing, even though you took your shot, still safe distance yourself, sanitize your hands, and wear your mask. But as you said, like Tucker Carlson or whoever,
Yeah.
it's a lot of people like that that believes that you don't have to do that, whether they took the shot or not. So we all have to be on the same page here.
Yeah, and it's so scary because right now the CDC is actually thinking from state to state to start telling people you don't have to wear your mask if you've been vaccinated. But what's going to happen a lot is that people are just going to stop wearing their mask and just lying. And then the surge per city per state is going to start going up, and then we're going to be in the third wave of the pandemic where we're closing things down again. So you can't say you want the city to get back to normal, but you're not following the procedures to get back to normal. And so my issue, what I got to say about that, and what was the name of the person that?
I took my shot.
I took my shot. I took my shot too, and I just wish other people will go ahead and just take the shot so we can get back to normal.
Amen.
LP, you got anything you want to say?
Not really, no.
Okay.
You pretty much covered it.
All right.
Okay, well, sincerely, I took my shot. I hope we answer your questions, and we do encourage you at LSCT to take your shots.
Hey, before we go on, I got to put out this announcement here that comes from the Illinois Holocaust Museum about the Mandela. Change can start anywhere, even in a jail cell. Don't miss Mandela Struggle for Freedom, a mesmerizing exposition opens now at the Illinois Holocaust Museum in Skokie, just a short drive away from downtown. Explore Mandela's role in South Africa's anti-apartheid movement and his rise from prisoner to president. There's something for everyone. More information at i-lholocaustmuseum.org. I love the part that says his rise from prisoner to president. It is an amazing thing what someone can go through, and it's just inspiring to hear that. Illinois Holocaust Museum is basically, to talk about Jewish. It was initially for that, but they've opened it up to so many things of tragedies and triumphs. And so, we really thank Illinois Holocaust Museum out there in Skokie for opening up their doors to talk about the struggle for freedom of Mandela and what a lot of people in Africa had to fight through against, Afrikaners and the situations they had in Africa until he came back from prison, unjustly put in prison, and then became the president of the United States slow down, Brenda. The president of South Africa. So to where now, diversity is more prevalent in South Africa than ever before. So check it out. Mandela's Struggle for Freedom. You check out the i.lholocaustmuseum.org. We've got a couple of minutes before the show goes off. Any last words you want to say before we go?
Again, I want to say prayers are going up for the Silla family, for the Johnson Coleman family, and for the Brown Howard family. Our hearts are with you guys. We pray that God's will be done in all of the people in your family lives.
And LP, I just want to quickly come back to the subject we was talking about for 1 second. Just tell me some things that how we should, we are more similar with the person that's working in the restaurant than we are different, because we get angry because we think they're moving slow. But you said they want to get you out of there too. So talk a little bit more about that.
Oh yeah, I don't want you to hang around the restaurant like when I'm. Hold on, is it this one? Is it this one? It's this one. It's this one. Okay.
Okay.
I don't want to hang around. I don't want you to hang around the restaurant or the store or whatever, right? Like I want you also to get out of there on time and for your order to be correct. Like it's in both of our interests that you get all of your food correct. I don't have to give you any refunds, and you are out of there in like 30 seconds. Like it's in both of our interests.
That in both of our interests.
And it's more in your interest, and it actually is more into the fast food service person interest than it is for the individual, because you get timed and can be penalized for spending too much time. You said the average time that they want you in and out is what, 3 to 5 minutes or something like that?
It's like way less than that. It's like 2.5 minutes, maybe. Like they want you in and out of there very, very, very quickly. I think I'll go find the image again. But like, yeah, they want you in and out of there like very, very, very quickly.
But
and that's per customer driving up to the drive-up.
Yeah.
Per customer in drive-through and in the lobby.
Yeah, but you know, a lot of times what you do see, LP, is that it doesn't seem like the restaurant person cares.
Well, I mean, usually they're having it depends, right? So like I care, but it's hard to give off the vibe that you care when like I was good at it because you know like by trade I'm an actor, right? So I can fake like I'm having a great day and I'm really happy. But like
You faking?
yeah, because like you're behind the counter, like you see this. You've been in the drive-thru for 2 minutes. I worked at Burger King, and in the mornings they wanted us to get people in and out of the drive-thru in 1 minute and 25 seconds. Can you even order food in 1 minute and 25 seconds? Like, do you honestly think you can pull into a drive-thru, know exactly what you and all 3 people in your car want, go through the drive-thru, grab your wallet, get the money out of the wallet, open the bag, make sure I got all the food right, open up the burgers, you're handing stuff to kids in the back. It's been like 3 minutes. Like, and I'm 200% over the clock now. Like, the numbers are up. I'm not having a great day. Like, it's I don't have a lot of time to like crack jokes and be really like personable. You know, like I gotta get you your food and get you out of here. Like, I got 45 seconds.
So only my sister would come at the time that we're still doing the radio show and think someone's supposed to stop and open this door. So I'm gonna let LP go open that door for her real quick while we're talking and ending the show. So I mean, we just wanted to talk a little bit more about that with the restaurant. Just be careful when you go into a restaurant. You know, that's why I said, can I get my food first? You want to be nice to people when they're giving you your food because, like he said, you know, they can do it. I'm sure they have. He says he hasn't done it. Steven said he hasn't done it all, but I'm sure they can do something like that. And you just want to be nice to people who are providing you the food because you don't never know what they can put in there, you know, because you know, they have bad days too, and their bad day might just be justified by doing something bad to you. So just be careful with that when you're buying foods.
Okay, like you go up to the drive-thru and the person already has an attitude, and it's like, okay, now I got to deal with this different personality and praying that my food come out right. And they just, you know, mess your order up completely because we in so fear of them messing up our order. It's like, I'm just going to accept them with a stank attitude, not report them.
And we'll have to talk about that at another time because we're about to get ready to end this. So after your question,
need to talk about
because I mean, you know, it's just you just got to be careful with people. That's what you have to do. Just be careful when you're giving someone you're serving someone food or someone is serving your food. You don't want to be nasty or belligerent with them during that time.
We happened to go on a little long a bit earlier in the show.
What? Yeah, we did. Well, then we're talking about.
I mean, it was a good talk.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate for the topic.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that again. Hey, we're gonna probably end the show with I got one song. It's called "Depend on God." It's by Jamie Simons, brother that I know from Salem Baptist Church. He's at what's that? Lilydale Baptist Church here in Chicago. Did a great song, put an album out there, a CD. I told him he needs to do another one. Told him that a year ago. He still ain't listened to me, but you need to do another one, Jamie. And we're gonna end the show with that. And we hopefully will see you all next Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. This is Rick McCain along with my baby, my girl, my boo, Alter Ben McCain, Tracy Brown Howard, and absence. LP Production is taking care of our system and for us. Hey, we'll see you next Tuesday, 6:30. Woo woo! Play that song,